Hi, it's Anne, and we're getting ready for the holidays. Guess what we're going to do today? We're going to make some pie. We are going to make some pie. If if anybody ever asks you what is the best holiday pie, if you're in my family, the correct answer is pumpkin. And I was playing around with some ideas for some holiday cards. I also make cards. I don't do them on this channel so much, but I'll show you a card I made for Thanksgiving that had a little pumpkin pie on it, and I thought it turned out so cute. But this one, it does, I used, my die cut machine and, these little scalloped edge dies to make the crust. And it's great for the precision and the style that I like having in my greeting cards, but I wanted to convert it to a junk journal style. So let's say goodbye to this pie, and we are going to make some junk journal style. I thought with the crust, we would just start with a piece of a grocery sack. This is actually a Chipotle sack. And I'm going to make one. I think the crust can be about this size because I want to put these on a pocket. And there's no fancy equipment with with this. You don't need any of the die cutting machines or the dies or special anything. This is stuff out of your recycle bin, or hopefully it doesn't even make it to your recycle bin. I'm going to take my water brush and just go around this jar lid. And you can use any kind of a little paintbrush, or you could even use like a Q-tip dipped in water. And this is just going to help us it's going to soften those fibers and help us make a nice little tear that is clearly torn. We want it to have a torn look, but we want it to be circular. And this is a good way to get this. You could draw the circle around your little template, but I just think this water method works really, really nicely. It's the same thing that we use when we're tearing aprons, or not aprons, tearing napkins. Why did I say tearing aprons? I was thinking about aprons recently with that mid-century fabric that I had out for the cover of my recipe journal, my food memories journal that I made with my sister last week. Anyway, that got me thinking about special holiday foods as well. Pumpkin pie, it's the best. I don't know if it's your favorite or not. Tell me your favorite holiday pie. For me, it's pumpkin. And in fact, one of my favorite things about Thanksgiving is the day after Thanksgiving, having pumpkin pie for breakfast. It's not something I indulge in that often, but when I do, I really enjoy it. Okay, so here is our crust. I'm going to get it kind of inked up, and I think I'm really going to kind of crumple the edges just not to tear them anymore, but to get them crumpled, because I really want them to pick up the ink that I'm going to apply with my blending tool. Why don't I just crumple the whole thing? That'd be easier, wouldn't it? There we go. We do this for our background pages a lot, don't we? And hopefully I didn't tear it. I don't want to make that mamagami paper, which is a technique that did not work so well for me. I don't mind telling you. Not a very successful kind of technique for me, but I'm just gonna, you can see how with those folded edges, I pick up a lot of extra distress ink, and I want this crust to look nice and toasty. It's more brown than I would normally have for a actual IRL pie crust, but we get the idea. It's gonna look crusty. Definitely gonna look crusty. Do you have a favorite pie crust recipe? My mother used to have, she was known throughout Nemaha County, Nebraska for her fine pie crusts. And she made a special crust mix where the secret ingredient was lard. Yes, it was. Our arteries harden even thinking about it, but doggone it, that was a good pie crust. What I've taken for the pie itself is I took a book page, and because I wanted some sort of visual texture here, I did, when I made my cards, I made some just with the plain orange cardstock, but it just really looked a little blank. And so when I ran that through the an embossing folder, it gave it a visual texture that was nice. I wanted visual texture in the junk journal style that I made as well. So I just smeared a little orange paint on a book page, and I'm gonna take the flip side of my little jar lid, because this circle is just slightly smaller than the outside, obviously. And I'm just gonna hand cut that. There we go. And this is a nice thick antique book page. I could have drawn my circle on the other side, I suppose, to make certain I didn't get any pencil lines in what I'm cutting out, but it's nothing that a little eraser won't take care of if some of them sneak in. And I'm not worried about making it be as precise as a, you're certain I'm in frame with this. Yeah. I'm not worried about being as precise as it would be in, if I was making a card. Okay, now let's ink the edge here, and then we'll glue our pie into place. Yeah, lard in the pie crust. I mean, I know. It's not the way we cook today, but oh my golly, that was good pie crust. And we liked our pie. There we go. That's kind of a big shaggy crust around the edge. But I think I'm gonna be okay with that. Maybe next time I make it, I might make the pie portion just a little bit bigger, but we're gonna continue. Now, what I'd like to do next is to cut a wedge out of this pie, but I would want to make certain that it's fairly precise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of book page, and I'm going to cut a little template just out of this scrap, and I'm going to use the same size of the jar lid that I used for my crust. There might be easier ways to do this, but this is just what occurred to me. And it would be easy for you as well. You know, thinking about making pie crusts, you know, my hands are on camera all the time, and you saw my sister waving with her hands last week when she was here with me. And I don't think about my mother's hands a whole lot, but whenever I'm making a pie crust and I have flour all over my hands, I look down and my hands look exactly like my mother's, and I don't know why that is, but it's something that always makes me smile. And okay, now my back on topic here, this little circle is the same size as our crust here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in wedges so that I have a bit of a template. I'm going to fold it, that's in fourths. We do not want a pie piece that is a fourth of our pie, because, you know, we're not gluttons. Well, maybe when it comes to pumpkin pie we are. Maybe I am, I don't know. I'm just going to fold it over one more time here. So this is an eighth of the pie. And I'm gonna, because it's a little bit hard to see that that fold, I just ran my pencil down there. So here is 1/8 of a pie. And I'm going to put that, here is my little 1/8 wedge. Save this because I might use that again later. And what I'm going to do is I want to cut out a piece. I'm going to go roughly around, you know, kind of put that curve kind of around where the edge of this crust was. And that, it's not going to be, you know, this is not precise engineering. It's going to be close enough for pie cutting purposes. That point is going to be right in the middle of the pie. And we're going to have a fairly reasonable sort of edge there. I'm going to actually put it down on the reverse side though, because I want to put just a little bit of washi tape down here to keep my template in place. And in case that washi picks up a little bit of the paper, I want it on the crust that is behind the pie and not on the pie itself. So let's get out our, you know what, I'm going to use an X-Acto knife rather than my standard utility knife because I have a little bit more control with this one. And I'm not going to use a straight edge, because I can go pretty much along the side. And if I swerve a little bit and cut off part of this template, it's not going to mess up the shape of my pie. I can visually go along here and cut through both of those layers. And I can do the same here. I'm just going to cut through that washi tape. Come right down to that point. There we go. So there's our pie. And somebody has taken, as we say in my family, has taken a smidgen of pie there. We always say we could smidgen a pie to death in 2 hours. Now, I think, yeah, so anyway, here is our book page pie. And I could put it on a tag or something just like that, you know, without the Happy Thanksgiving or with the Happy Thanksgiving. I mean, that could certainly happen. But what I had in mind for doing this time was to put it on a pocket because I wanted something that was a little bit bigger. And so I cut a piece of scrapbook paper that happened to have a wood tone because I thought, oh, that looks kind of like a table. And I don't want to be too literal about this, but I cut some gussets into that. So that's going to be my pocket there. And I thought, let's see how this looks here. That needs, I think, a little bit of contrast for it to stand out. So what if I put a little piece of fabric behind it, kind of like it was a little tablecloth or something. I'm going to fold these out again because those are going to cause my pocket to kind of jump up. What if I put a pot? So I love the kind of tablecloth-y look that this has. But as I suspected, it looks a little weird, you know, if it was just like this, or certainly if it was, you know, like this, this is sort of just conceptual. It's not meant to be literal. I'm taking it a little more into the literal realm by putting this wood tone table here, and certainly by adding the tablecloth. So it makes me think this is not how our pie would look. Maybe I will add some circles here. This could maybe be our platter. That's a little big. I could pull it out like that. I could have this on a separate plate. I'm thinking I'm okay with that. I wish this was a little bit smaller. Is that something I can... No, I did make this on on the little platter. I did do a die cut on that. It just looks big to me, but I think yeah, maybe if I overlap them. Yeah, because a platter could be bigger like that. Yeah, let's go ahead and put our little tablecloth down. And this is a piece of fabric tape. Just a piece of fabric, and this actually is from an old dish towel. I think I had made curtains out of these, though. They were kitchen curtains, but they were scrap fabric that I've had in my stash for years. Applied to double-sided tape. We've been using a lot of these lately. And this is very sticky. Every time I use this, this happens. I get caught up. I think I am going to pull these down. And oh, look, it's clinging to me. Help! I'm being held captive by fabric tape. Of course, kudos to my dear friend Connie, who gave us this idea of putting fabric on double-sided tape. And it gives us a little added texture. There we go. Now I'm going to have to cut this off because no good can come from having excess fabric tape here. Can you hear that thumping outside? I'm filming this on Friday morning, and it's garbage day in the neighborhood. I did my usual checking of the recycling bin to see if any craft supplies had accidentally been thrown away. Dan usually knows to always check with me before he puts things in the recycling bin. I'm starting to like how this is looking. I'm going to do a little extra distressing here. Oh, that was one I made earlier. That was a practice one. This is the one we made together. Is that the right one? Yeah, that's the right one. And you can make these any size that suits you. Okay, let's go with our platter here. And I'm going to come actually over the edge a little bit. And this is going to overlap with the plate. And I'm not going to pull it straight out because this is looking a little bit like Pac-Man to me if it's coming after this. So I'm going to offset them a little bit. Let's get the plate down on the platter. And I could put some sort of wording on it, but I think for right now I'm not going to. It's making a little still life, a little tableau. There's our pie. Here's our slice of pie on our little gingham plate. Yeah, be sure and tell me what your pie preferences are, especially for the holidays. I love hearing about people's favorite holiday desserts. I used to work, still have a very good friend in North Carolina. I've been so worried about him and his family, but he's okay with all the terrible flooding, just awful flooding that they've been having there. Anyway, he loves sweet potato pie, and we didn't have that in the Midwest. I loved hearing that sweet potato pie was his family favorite. I love hearing about that. And sometimes, folks love apple pie. let's see, I don't want any on this side, so I'm going to use the Gail Augustinelli trick of putting her thumb where she does not want the glue. Anyway, I loved hearing about sweet potato pie. From what I understand, there's a taste profile that is actually rather similar to pumpkin pie. And I have, in recent years, made pumpkin pie that has some candied sweet potatoes in it. And it's a recipe from Cook's Illustrated. And of course, it's wildly elaborate. Cook's Illustrated always has, the best recipes, but there's always a million steps. You have to really, really focus to make a Cook's Illustrated recipe. But their famous pumpkin pie is, yeah, I'm going to kind of go up that way. There we go. And I'm using the 3-in-1 glue because I want the paper to adhere to this fabric. So that's why the other glue here. Anyway, that pumpkin pie with this candied sweet potatoes in it, I have to say it was so silky. And it was probably the best pumpkin pie that I have ever made. But it's so much work that I don't make it every year. I usually make a simpler version. This looks like it needs something down there, doesn't it? I almost want to put like a little fork or something down there, but I don't know what that's going to be. So for right now, I am going to say, friends, let's enjoy having a piece of pie that has no calories, no fat, just a whole lot of joy. And what will this look like on a junk journal page? I think it'd be fun to maybe add a little bit of something here that might represent what you're going to be journaling about. But how nice in a holiday journal would this be, particularly to talk about some of our family celebratory traditions around pie. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.